It's midnight. A man is sitting alone in his living room, clutching a photo frame. His eyes are tired, his hands trembling. He whispers, "Why does happiness always slip away the moment I hold on to it?" Have you ever felt the same? The more we chase after love, success, or peace of mind, the further they seem to run from us. This is the paradox of life. The tighter we hold on, the quicker things escape. And here's the secret: few dare to believe what if letting go is not losing, but actually the only way for blessings to arrive. Before we continue, if this message touches your heart, pause for a second, hit follow, like this video, or share it with someone who might need this reminder today. That's also the sincerest way you can help spread Buddha's wisdom to more souls searching for peace. Now, let's walk deeper into this truth together. Life has a quiet rhythm. Think of a flower blooming in silence. It doesn't struggle. It doesn't beg the sun to shine or the rain to fall. Yet, by surrendering to the natural flow, it becomes radiant. Miracles in our lives also arrive this way softly, when we are not forcing them. But here's what we forget. Nothing truly belongs to us. Not the relationships we cling to, not the possessions we guard, not even this body we live in. The Buddha taught that everything is passing through, like a guest at a festival. When we see life this way, loss no longer feels like a tragedy, but simply the end of a visit. Freedom begins where ownership ends. And letting go does not erase our pain. It transforms it. Every disappointment, every heartbreak can become wisdom if we release the weight. Think of a river carving valleys not by force, but by flowing steadily around the rocks. Softness, not struggle, creates lasting strength. Peace, then, is the greatest form of wealth. It doesn't vanish when markets crash, when jobs disappear, or when people walk away. True prosperity is a calm heart. With an inner lake that is still, we can reflect the light of the universe clearly. But here's the twist. Empty hands are not weak. They are ready. If we let go of what no longer serves us, space opens for blessings we cannot yet imagine. Silence, too, is not emptiness. It is power. Like the moon moving the tides without a sound, our quiet surrender can change everything. So, what does this mean for you and me? It means that the life we are chasing so desperately has been waiting all along for us to stop running, to trust, to open, to receive. And maybe, just maybe, the timing you thought was late is in fact perfect. 1. The quiet arrival of miracles. A woman once told me something that stayed with me. She said, "The biggest miracles of my life never announced themselves. They arrived quietly when I least expected them." Think about that for a moment. Isn't it true that the most beautiful things in life often come silently, just like a flower? It doesn't push, it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand. It simply blooms when the season is right. But here's the struggle we all face. We don't like waiting. We live in a world that tells us to chase harder, to hold tighter, to demand more. We think that if we just push enough, everything will fall into place. And yet, the Buddha taught something profoundly different. He said, "Peace comes when we let go of craving." That's the conflict inside us. One voice says, "Try harder, run faster, control everything." But the other voice whispers, "Slow down, trust, let it unfold." Most of the time, we listen to the first voice. We fight, we grasp, we try to force life to give us what we want. And in that struggle, peace slips further and further away. I've seen this in my own life. There was a time I worked so hard for recognition, for success. I sacrificed sleep, health, even relationships. But the harder I chased it, the emptier I felt. It was only when I paused, when I stopped demanding, that unexpected opportunities began to appear. Not because I forced them, but because I finally made space for them to arrive. This is the paradox. When we stop clinging, we discover that life has already been generous. The miracle isn't in what we gain. The miracle is in noticing what was always there. Look around. The morning sun rising without your asking. The breath that flows in and out without effort. The kindness of a stranger. The smile of a child. These are miracles too, arriving every day in silence. But here's the key. You only see them when you stop demanding life to be different. When the mind softens. When the heart becomes still. Imagine this. You're holding water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But if you open your palms gently, the water stays. Life works the same way. When we loosen our grip, what is meant for us stays. What is not meant for us flows away. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. So how do we practice this in daily life? Start small. The next time you feel impatient, waiting in line, stuck in traffic, notice the urge to fight. Then breathe. Remind yourself, this moment too has its gift. When a plan doesn't go your way, instead of forcing, pause. Ask, what is life trying to show me here? Often, the detour holds the real miracle. Because miracles don't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes they come in silence, in patience, in surrender. And if we can learn to let go of our rush, our craving, our endless demands, we might just discover that life has already been answering us all along. 2. Freedom from ownership. There was once a man who spent his whole life building a beautiful house. He polished the floors every week, repainted the walls every year, and guarded it like a treasure chest. But when a storm came and tore half of it down, his heart broke too. He said, "It wasn't just my house that collapsed, it was me." That story is not just about him. It's about us. We think the things we hold are ours forever. Our homes, our jobs, our money, even our relationships, even this very body. But the Buddha reminded us, nothing is truly ours. Everything is only borrowed. That's the conflict we all face. Inside, we want stability. We want something solid to lean on. But outside, life keeps changing. People leave, possessions fade, health shifts, time carries everything away. So we cling tighter. We try to lock love in place. We try to freeze moments that were never meant to last. And the more we cling, the more fragile we feel, because deep down, we know nothing can be kept. Think about it. Every relationship you've ever had has changed. Not because of failure, but because change is the nature of life. Every object you've ever owned will one day belong to someone else or return to dust. And this body, no matter how much we care for it, will one day return to the earth. That can sound heavy, but it doesn't have to be. Because when you truly see that nothing is yours, something amazing happens. You start to live lighter. You start to love more freely. You start to appreciate moments instead of trying to trap them. I once heard a teacher say, "Hold everything like water in your palm. Let it rest there gently. Don't squeeze. Because the moment you squeeze, it slips away. But if you hold it lightly, you enjoy it while it's here." That's what freedom from ownership feels like. It's not about rejecting the world or giving everything up. It's about shifting how we hold things. Your partner is not yours. They are a gift walking beside you for a time. Your wealth is not yours. It is a tool, a resource passing through your hands. Even your successes are not yours. They are the result of countless conditions coming together, teachers, opportunities, the support of others. When you see this, gratitude deepens, and suffering lessens, because the pain of loss comes from believing something was truly ours. But if we recognize from the start that all things are borrowed, then when they leave, we can bow in thanks instead of collapse in despair. The Buddha once said, "Attachment is the root of suffering, and ownership is one of the deepest attachments we carry. To let it go is to taste freedom." So, how do we practice? Start with the small things. The next time something you love breaks or fades, instead of anger, whisper, "This was never mine to keep. Thank you for the time we had." The next time a friendship changes, instead of clinging, bless it. "We walked together for this season, and that was enough." Slowly, you'll find a lightness growing in you. A peace that doesn't depend on holding. A freedom that comes from knowing. Nothing belongs to us, yet everything can be loved deeply while it's here. And that, my friend, is true freedom. The kind that no storm, no loss, no change can ever take away. 3. The Alchemy of Letting Go. There's a truth that many of us resist. We hold on to pain. We cling to memories, to failures, to moments when life didn't turn out the way we hoped. And in that clinging, we suffer. Maybe you felt it too. That heaviness in your chest when you replay an old conversation. That bitterness when you think about the person who hurt you. That quiet ache when you look back and wish things had been different. We carry these wounds as if they define us. But here's the paradox. The more we hold on, the more they hold us. We think clinging gives us control, but in reality, it traps us. The Buddha once said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." And it's true. Our suffering doesn't come from the past itself, but from our unwillingness to release it. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means transforming what was heavy into something light, turning what once felt like poison into medicine. This is the alchemy of letting go. Think about it. Every time you release a regret, you gain clarity. Every time you release an old grudge, you feel lighter. And every time you release a painful memory, it transforms into wisdom. It's not about erasing the past. It's about allowing the past to teach us and then moving forward. I remember a time when I failed deeply at something I cared about. I carried that shame for years. It felt like a chain around my neck, pulling me down every time I tried to rise. But the moment I stopped fighting it, the moment I said, "Yes, this happened, and it taught me," everything shifted. That failure became fuel. It made me stronger, kinder, more patient with others who were also struggling. This is the gift of letting go. What once broke us can become the very thing that rebuilds us. But here's the hard part. Letting go doesn't happen all at once. It's not like dropping a stone and watching it fall. It's a process. Sometimes we let go a little, and then pick it up again without even noticing. Sometimes it takes months, even years, and that's okay. The practice is not about speed. It's about direction. Every small release is a step toward freedom. The Buddha taught that every ending carries within it the seed of a beginning. When one chapter closes, another quietly opens. We often miss it because we're too busy staring at the closed door. But when we turn and look, we realize that what ended was not a punishment, it was preparation. It was making space for something new. And that's why letting go is not loss. It's liberation. When you finally put down what weighs you, Your hands are free to receive what's next. When you stop clutching yesterday's pain, your heart opens to today's peace. And when you allow the past to transform, you discover that the ending you feared was, in truth, the beginning you needed. So ask yourself, what burden are you still carrying? What memory, what mistake, what heartbreak are you gripping so tightly that it keeps you from breathing freely? Can you loosen your hold just a little? Can you allow it to shift, to transform, to teach you rather than bind you? Because every time you let go, you don't just release pain. You step closer to peace. You step closer to freedom. You step closer to yourself. 4. The hidden magnetism of surrender. When most people hear the word surrender, they imagine weakness. They think of giving up, of losing, of being defeated. But in truth, surrender is not about weakness at all. It is about strength. The kind of strength that doesn't need to fight in order to win. Think of a river. It doesn't crash against the rocks in anger. It doesn't try to destroy what blocks its way. It simply flows around, over, and through. And with time, its softness carves valleys deeper than any force of violence could ever achieve. That is the hidden magnetism of surrender. You see, many of us live our lives fighting against what island? We resist change. We push back against loss. We struggle to control what was never really ours to begin with. And the more we fight, the more exhausted we become. Life starts to feel like an endless battle. I remember a season in my own life when everything seemed out of control. No matter how hard I tried, nothing worked out the way I planned. It felt like I was swimming upstream, using every bit of energy just to stay afloat. And then, one day, I simply stopped. I said to myself, what if I stop resisting? What if I trust the flow instead of fighting it? And something shifted. I felt lighter. Opportunities began to appear that I hadn't noticed before. It was as if life itself was carrying me forward, once I stopped thrashing against it. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." True surrender begins there inside of us. It's the quiet decision to stop clinging to control and instead open to trust. Now, let me be clear. Surrender is not passive. It's not about sitting back and letting life walk all over you. It's not about accepting injustice or giving up your power. No, surrender is choosing to align with life rather than resist it. It's the courage to soften when the world tells you to harden. It's the wisdom to yield so that life can flow through you instead of against you. Think of bamboo. When the storm comes, rigid trees may break, but bamboo bends. It surrenders to the wind, and because of that, it survives. And isn't that the lesson we need most? That sometimes the strongest thing we can do is to stop fighting and start trusting. When you surrender, you invite life to support you. You open your heart to guidance you couldn't see before. And you discover that the universe has always been on your side, waiting for you to release your grip and let it carry you. The hidden magnetism of surrender is this. When you stop resisting, the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments seem to appear. It feels almost effortless. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer at war with it. Imagine what would change in your life if, instead of forcing, you started flowing. If, instead of clinging, you opened your hands. If, instead of saying, "This must happen," you whispered, "I trust the way forward." What if the universe is not against you, but waiting to guide you? What if surrender is the doorway to the peace you've been seeking all along? The river teaches us. Softness is not weakness. Yielding is not defeat. Surrender is strength in its purest, quietest form. And the moment you embrace it, life begins to carry you further than you ever thought you could go. 5. Peace as the new prosperity. When we think of prosperity, our minds often rush to images of wealth. A bigger house, a better car, the kind of success that shines on the outside. But let me ask you something. How many people have all of those things, and yet, inside, they feel restless, anxious, even empty? You've probably seen it. Maybe you've even felt it. The truth is, the greatest prosperity doesn't come from possessions or from status. It comes from peace. Peace of mind. Peace of heart. Peace that no one can take away. The Buddha once said, "Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship." And when you really pause and take that in, you realize something powerful. Prosperity is not measured by what you own, but by the stillness you carry within. Think about a lake. When the waters are agitated, they can't reflect anything clearly. But when the lake is calm, it mirrors the sky, the trees, even the stars. In the same way, when your heart is restless, you can't see life clearly. But when your heart is at peace, the entire universe seems to reflect back through you. And here's the irony. We spend so much energy chasing after wealth and recognition, believing it will bring peace. But the cycle never ends. The moment we reach one goal, another appears. The moment we get what we want, we fear losing it. It's like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. I remember a time when I was working day and night, thinking success would finally make me feel whole. But instead, I was exhausted. I couldn't rest. And even when I achieved what I thought I wanted, there was always something missing. It wasn't until I slowed down, turned inward, and gave myself permission to simply be that I discovered a peace deeper than any reward the world could give me. And that peace felt like true wealth. Now let's be clear. This doesn't mean we should reject all material things. Life requires resources. We all need shelter, food, and security. But beyond that, the endless craving only steals the very thing we are searching for peace. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and your heart is calm. Your mind is not racing. You're not comparing yourself to anyone else. You feel content with what you have and open to what may come. Isn't that the richest way to live? Peace is a treasure that doesn't fade with time. It doesn't vanish when the market changes or when fortune turns. It nourishes your body, sharpens your mind, and awakens your spirit. And the most beautiful part? Peace radiates. When you are at peace, the people around you feel it too. Your family, your friends, even strangers. You become a mirror of calm in a restless world. So perhaps it's time to redefine prosperity, not by the size of a bank account, but by the depth of inner stillness. Not by how much we collect, but by how deeply we can rest in this present moment. True abundance is waking up each day with a quiet smile, knowing that no matter what rises or falls in the outer world, the inner world remains steady. Peace is the new prosperity. And once you taste it, you realize it was the wealth you were searching for all along. 6. The weight of empty hands. There's a quiet truth that life keeps trying to teach us. When our hands are already full, we cannot receive anything new. And yet, most of us walk through life clinging tightly to old burdens, past regrets, broken dreams, painful memories, even outdated identities of who we once thought we should be. We hold on because we fear emptiness. We fear that letting go means losing something precious. But here is the paradox. Only empty hands can receive. Only an open heart can be filled. Think of it like a traveler on a long road. If his backpack is stuffed with heavy stones, there is no space left for food, water, or the treasures he finds along the way. The stones serve no purpose. They only slow him down. And yet, how often do we carry the weight of our own stones? Anger, guilt, bitterness, believing they protect us, when in fact, they only drain us. The Buddha once taught, "You only lose what you cling to." And when we reflect deeply, we realize he wasn't pointing to loss as a tragedy, but as liberation. Because every time we set something down, we create space for something greater to enter. I remember someone who shared with me a story of heartbreak. She had been holding on to a relationship that had long ended. Every day, she replayed what went wrong, gripping the memory like it was the only proof of her worth. And yet, the more she clung, the more she suffered. It wasn't until she dared to release emptying her hands of that old love that she finally had space to welcome new connections, new joys, and even a new sense of self. Her empty hands became her greatest strength, because in their emptiness, they were ready to receive life again. And maybe this is the very lesson life whispers to us in the quiet moments. Emptiness is not loss. Emptiness is preparation. Like a farmer clears the field before planting new seeds. Like the sky grows dark before the dawn. When we release what no longer serves us, we create room for miracles to arrive. But here's the struggle. Our minds resist. We say to ourselves, "If I let go, who will I be? What will remain?" The unknown terrifies us. We confuse holding on with safety. But in reality, it is the weight of clinging that exhausts us, not the letting go. Imagine standing at the shore, clutching a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But when you open your palm, the breeze can touch your skin, and the waves can place seashells in your hand. That is the power of emptiness. So let's pause for a moment and ask ourselves, what are we still carrying that no longer belongs? What heaviness sits in our hearts, leaving no room for joy to enter? What would happen if today, just for a moment, we dared to release it? Empty hands are not weak. They are ready. They are waiting. They are the doorway to blessings we cannot yet imagine. So perhaps it's time to see emptiness not as a void, but as a sacred space. A space where the universe can pour its gifts. A space where healing begins. A space where we finally make peace with ourselves. The weight of empty hands is not heaviness at all. It is freedom. It is preparation. It is the silent invitation that allows life to give us exactly what we need when we are ready to receive it. 7. Silence speaks louder than struggle. Have you ever noticed how loud the world has become? Everywhere we go, there's constant noise. Traffic, notifications, opinions. And sometimes, the loudest noise is not outside, but inside our own restless thoughts. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness. If you're not talking, not hustling, not constantly proving yourself, it almost feels like you're falling behind. But here's the truth. Silence is not weakness. It is one of the greatest sources of strength we can ever discover. The Buddha once said, "Silence is an empty space, but it is full of answers." Think about that for a moment. Silence is not absence, it's presence. It is not emptiness, it's fullness. It is the space where wisdom is born. Yet many of us are afraid of silence. We fear what might come up when things get quiet. The memories we've buried, the insecurities we try to cover with noise. So, we keep filling our lives with distractions, scrolling, working, talking, anything to avoid sitting with ourselves. But imagine this. The moon controls the tides without making a sound. Its silent presence moves entire oceans. What if the same quiet force exists within you? What if your silence has the power to move your life in ways struggle never could? I once met someone who went through a painful divorce. At first, she tried to drown her sorrow in constant activity work, social gatherings, even endless self-help books. But nothing worked. The pain kept following her. Then one day, exhausted, she chose silence. She stopped fighting. She sat in her living room, no music, no phone, just herself. And for the first time in years, she cried not from resistance, but from release. In that silence, clarity began to rise. She realized she didn't need to fill the emptiness with more noise. She needed to listen to it. That was the beginning of her healing. You see, silence is not passive. It's active. It's alive. When we stop struggling, when we stop forcing outcomes, we begin to hear the guidance that's been waiting for us all along. The Buddha taught that the mind is like water. When it is agitated, it is difficult to see. But when it becomes still, clarity reflects back like a mirror. Silence is that stillness. It is the mirror that reveals truth. Now, let's be honest, silence is uncomfortable at first. You may feel restless. Your thoughts might get louder. But if you stay, if you breathe, if you allow the silence to hold you, something shifts. Your racing thoughts soften. Your body relaxes. And slowly, wisdom rises like dawn, breaking after a long night. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, don't just push harder. Don't just fight louder. Pause. Step into silence, even for a few minutes. Let the stillness speak. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something deeper is unfolding. It's in silence that new opportunities appear. It's in silence that intuition awakens. It's in silence that you rediscover who you truly are. Remember this: the loudest struggles in your life will often be solved not by shouting, not by striving, but by listening. Listening to the silence within. And when you learn to embrace that silence, you'll find it's not empty. It's overflowing with strength, with wisdom, with peace. 8. When wanting becomes receiving. Have you ever noticed how much of our life is spent chasing money, chasing recognition, chasing love? It feels like if we don't run fast enough, we'll miss out on something essential. And yet, the faster we run, the emptier we often feel. That's the paradox. The more we grasp at life, the further it seems to slip away. The Buddha once taught, the craving of desires leads to suffering, but the cessation of craving leads to freedom. At first, that may sound like he's asking us to give up everything we want. But that's not the truth. He's pointing us towards something deeper. When we stop chasing what's outside, we begin to notice what's already within. There's a wellspring of abundance inside each of us, peace, joy, and clarity that cannot be taken away. But when we are consumed by endless wanting, we overlook this treasure, like a thirsty traveler running past a stream that's been flowing beside him the whole time. I remember speaking with a man who worked for decades, trying to make it big. He had the house, the car, the title, but he confessed to me that none of it felt enough. There was always another goal, another prize. He was exhausted from the chase. One day, life forced him to pause. A health scare shook his world. Suddenly, the race stopped, and in that stillness, something shifted. He began to notice small things he had overlooked: the laughter of his children, the quiet peace of morning light, the kindness of a neighbor. For the first time, he wasn't chasing. He was receiving. His desires didn't disappear, but they transformed. Instead of hunger, they became gratitude. Instead of lack, they became appreciation. And this is the secret. Wanting itself isn't the problem. It's how we relate to wanting. When wanting turns into endless grasping, it drains us. But when wanting turns into openness, into a readiness to receive what life is already offering, it becomes joy. The Buddha often compared human desire to a flame. If it burns uncontrolled, it consumes everything in its path. But if we learn to tend to it, the same flame can bring warmth, light, and guidance. So how do we shift from chasing to receiving? It begins with awareness. The next time you feel that pull, the next promotion, the next purchase, the next validation, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I chasing because I believe I am incomplete? Or am I opening to receive what's already here? When you approach life with openness, you'll begin to see abundance everywhere. The smile of a stranger, the breath that carries you through this very moment, the food on your table. These are not small things. They are gifts. Gratitude turns wanting into receiving. It rewires the way we experience life. Suddenly, we're not starving for the next thing. We're overflowing with appreciation for the present. And here's the beauty. When you live this way, you attract more without even trying. Opportunities, relationships, blessings, they begin to flow naturally because your heart is no longer tight with craving. It is open. Remember, fulfillment isn't about removing desire. It's about transforming it. From restless hunger into grateful receiving. From chasing what's out there into discovering the richness already within. So, the next time you feel that deep yearning, don't run faster. Don't chase harder. Pause, breathe, and open your hands to what's already been given. Because when wanting becomes receiving, life itself becomes enough. And in that enoughness, you will finally know peace. 9. Trusting life's timing. Have you ever felt like life is moving too slowly? Maybe you've worked hard, but the breakthrough hasn't come. Maybe you've prayed, waited, hoped, but the answer hasn't arrived. It feels unfair, doesn't it? We live in a world that teaches us to rush, to get everything now, to believe that if something doesn't happen immediately, it might never happen at all. But life doesn't follow our deadlines. It has its own rhythm, and that rhythm, even when we can't see it, is always wiser than our impatience. Think about a seed. You can't force it to sprout by shouting at it or by pulling on its roots. It needs darkness before light, stillness before growth, and time before bloom. The same is true for our dreams, our healing, and our transformation. Everything unfolds when the season is right. The Buddha taught, no matter how hard the past, you can always begin again. These words remind us that timing is not our enemy. It is a friend. It is a guide. But it asks us to trust. I once met a woman who told me about her struggle with patience. She wanted love so badly that she rushed into relationship after relationship. Each time, it ended in heartbreak. She thought life was punishing her, withholding what she desired most. But when she finally let go of forcing the outcome, something changed. She began to focus on herself, on her growth, on her joy. And just when she wasn't expecting it, love walked into her life, gentle, steady, and true. She told me later, if I had received what I wanted when I demanded it, I would have missed what was meant for me. That's the power of timing. Inside us, there's a voice that says, I must have it now. It's a voice born of fear. Fear that we're falling behind. Fear that others will get ahead of us. Fear that we're not enough as we are. But when we trust life's timing, fear begins to loosen its grip. We realize we are not late. We are not missing out. We are exactly where we need to be. even if we don't understand it yet. Think of the ocean's tide. It rises, it falls. No wave crashes too soon, and no wave lingers too long. The tide has its rhythm, and so does your life. So how do we practice this trust? Start with patience. When you feel restless, remind yourself, not yet does not mean never. Start with presence. Look for the small gifts in front of you, the ones you often overlook while waiting for something bigger. And start with surrender. Release the pressure to control every detail and let the universe meet you halfway. Because here's the truth. What is truly meant for you will never pass you by. It may arrive later than you planned or in a form you didn't expect, but it will arrive. And when it does, you'll understand why the waiting was necessary, why the delays shaped you, why the pauses prepared you. The Buddha said, "Patience is the highest ascetic practice." Patience isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the quiet knowing that everything arrives in its season. So if you're waiting right now, take heart. Your story is not stalled. It is unfolding. Like the seed resting in the soil. Like the moon waiting for dawn. Like the wave preparing to rise. Trust the timing of your life. Because what comes at the right time is always the most perfect gift. Summary of key points and reflections. As we come to the close of this reflection, let's gather everything we've uncovered today and see the whole picture. We began by asking, why does holding on hurt more than letting go? And now, after walking through these insights, the answer becomes clear. Clinging, whether to people, possessions, or even old stories, only builds walls between ourselves and true peace. Letting go, on the other hand, is not losing. It is freedom. It allows love to breathe, relationships to grow, and our spirit to expand. We also discovered a truth that might sound surprising. Real strength is not in resistance, but in softness. When we align with the natural flow of the universe, life carries us forward more gently than any force we could create. Think of water. It is soft, it yields, yet nothing can stop its course. And then we touch the heart of it all. Inner peace. It is the eternal wealth we can carry, a treasure that no one can take away. In silence, in emptiness, in stillness, wisdom and compassion find their home. This is not absence, it is fullness. It is the space where blessings can finally land. Remember this, when we stop searching desperately outside, we uncover the fresh spring of happiness that has always lived within us. We don't need to chase, we only need to recognize. Finally, the peace that ties it all together, trusting the timing of life. Just as a seed cannot bloom before its season, neither can our dreams or healing. Patience is not waiting passively. It is trusting that when the moment is right, what is meant for us will arrive with perfect grace. And often, when it comes, it feels like a gift beyond what we could have forced for ourselves. So, the lesson we can carry forward is this. Everything we long for comes when we loosen our grip, when we stop trying to control every detail, and when we open our hands to receive. The universe has its own rhythm, and it never fails to deliver what we truly need at the moment we are truly ready. Now let me ask you, have you ever noticed that the most meaningful moments of your life arrived not when you demanded them, but when you were finally open to them? If you're thinking of someone who needs this reminder, maybe this is the right time to share this message with them. And if today's reflection touched something inside you, let it stay with you as you move forward. If this video spoke to your heart, feel free to give it a gentle like, share it with a friend who may need this wisdom, and tell me in the comments what part resonated with you the most today. Thank you for staying until the very end. Your presence here is a blessing I deeply appreciate. May you walk with patience, peace, and the quiet trust that your life is unfolding exactly as it should. And though this video ends here, remember our journey continues. Stay close, because the next teaching may arrive just when you need it most.